Why is education so important to the success within our company, within our networks, within our teams? Is because everything that we do connects back in to education. Now, in looking at the 3 learning styles or the 3 learning modality principles, there are 3 major types of learning. This is important to sales. It's important to training. It's important to communication styles. It's important to getting along. It's important to the groups. It's important to everything that we do. And so the first learning style is visual. So the 3 learning modalities or 3 learning styles are visual, verbal, or kinesthetic learning styles. Visual learners, people learn by seeing. Verbal, people learn by hearing. And kinesthetic, people learn by actually doing, by actually taking action. Now, when we learn to identify an individual's learning modality, we're able to be more effective in training them. We're able to communicate in a much higher level, much more efficient, much more effective level. When we're looking at partnering with people, they're learning one's learning modality and will have a primary and a secondary. So when someone is a visual learner, we want to listen, we want to speak to them in visual terms, like, do you see this? Can you envision this? What does this look like to you? In verbal, if someone, a verbal learner, we want to communicate, how does this sound to you? Are you hearing what I'm saying? This is what it sounds like you're saying. So we want to communicate in verbal terminology. In kinesthetic, we want to say, how does this feel to you? Can you envision this? How does this, can you experience what's going on, what we're looking at here? So when we look at those 3 learning modalities, those are so important to our sales. It's where mirroring and modeling in sales comes into place. So people tend to like people that are like themselves. People tend to fall in love with people that are opposite. To get people to like us, to get connected to one another, if we can communicate in the visual, verbal, or kinesthetic learning style, it will be much, much more effective in being able to develop that relationship or getting other people to understand what it is that we're trying to communicate to them. Now, how do we identify an individual's learning modality or their learning style? There's a couple different ways. In the verb, when we're listening to them, just listen for those words. I see this. I can envision this. Or people will say, that sounds good to me. Or, I don't know if I'm feeling, the same thing that you're feeling. So they'll talk in that terminology. If you're doing this in person with an individual, you can ask an individual a question as it relates to a memory. So, example, you might say, what's a really powerful experience that you've had in business, a situation that you've had in business in the last week or two? Or with a customer, you might say, share with me if you could, like a past experience that you've had in this, positive or negative, and when you've had that. You want to get them to start thinking based on their memory. So retrieving memory. When individuals are retrieving something from their memory, look at their eyes. If they look up into the sky, if they're looking up here, then it's visual. They're visual learners. If they're looking to the left or to the right, the ears, then they're verbal learners. If they look down, then they're kinesthetic learners. They're learning by the experience. So look at where their eyes are as it relates to a specific experience. As soon as you see the eyes or you hear what's being said, then start to communicate in that language. They'll have a primary and a secondary. We need to do this in sales. We need to do this with our children. We need to do this in education. We need to do this in every aspect of our business, because when we communicate to individuals in their learning modality, their learning style, we will be more effective within the team, more effective leaders, more effective in everything that we do. We trust that this session on the 3 learning modalities or the styles has been helpful to you, and we trust that you'll pass this along to other people. As we help other people, we get helped. As we get helped, we help other people. Have a great day.